You guys are going to need some energy for what's about to happen. I've got 30 minutes to give you a billion-dollar mindset. We're going to do it, but you guys are going to have to participate. And it starts with the impact prayer. So much like my man earlier had you guys repeating something to get some energy, I want you to repeat after me. You ready? Ready. All right. I will open myself to being changed forever and for the better. From what I'm about to learn. All right, so here we go. The most important thing to understand about me is that I am not a born entrepreneur. Do we have any born entrepreneurs in the house? All right, it's interesting. If I ask that in reverse order and I ask first who's a born entrepreneur, I get a lot of hands. But if I confess that I'm not one, all right. So you guys are my people. I am not a born entrepreneur. By nature, I am insanely lazy. And everything that you're going to hear about today, and you think I'm kidding and I'm not. Everything that you're about to hear is how I overcome my innate laziness. All of the things that I've accomplished in my life are because I finally got so fed up that I realized that I had to make some very dramatic changes in my life. From 2010 to 2013 alone, the company that my partners and I founded grew by 57,000%. That was in manufacturing. We ended up at number 2 on the Inc. 500 list. We went from $0 in revenue to being valued at over $1 billion in less than 5 years. Thank you. The question is how? And that should be the question that you guys are asking today. And everything that I'm going to talk about, it's got the backdrop of business success. It's got the backdrop of financial success. But to me, it doesn't matter what it is that you want to do. The mindset is the same. No matter what you're trying to accomplish in life, it comes down to your ability to manage your own brain chemistry. And the thing that you have to understand about humans, we are the ultimate adaptation machine. It used to be believed that we had all this stuff that they called junk DNA, and they were so surprised when they looked at the human genome. They put all this money into sequencing it, and they thought, we're going to really understand things. And then they realized that we only have 20,000 genes when an onion has 40,000. And they said, how can that be possible? Are you really asking me to believe that an onion is more complicated than a human being? And then suddenly, somebody said, hey, maybe we should actually look at this junk DNA and try to figure out what it does. And what they realized is that junk DNA is what they call epigenetics. It's how you respond to your environment. That's what makes humans so great. We have this massive ability to change. We're the only animal that you can find anywhere on the planet. James Cameron at one point was at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, the deepest part of the ocean. We have people right now running research in Antarctica. You're not going to find any other species that can traverse that much diversity, and we do it because we have the ability to change. And that's what I want to talk about. I went from broke to building $1 billion business entirely by changing my mindset. If you guys want to follow a path and become the greatest of all time in your field, you have 2 jobs. Job number 1, develop your mindset. How do you do that? The first thing you have to understand is that the Matrix has you. Who's seen the Matrix? All right, you're really my kind of people. The Matrix is the perfect analogy for a limiting mindset. Now, when you think about the human animal as an adaptation machine, you have to really understand what are the mechanisms by which we change. Those mechanisms are driven largely by our minds. Our minds are incredible. It's considered by most people in the scientific community to be the single most complicated thing in the universe. Not on this planet. Think about a black hole. Think about the complexities of dark matter. We don't even understand it. And yet, the people looking at those problems that understand quantum physics say the only thing that's more complicated than all of that is the human mind. And it's going to be your job to learn how to force it to adapt in a way that works for you. Now, this is the most important thing that I'm going to say today. And if you embrace this, it will fundamentally, forever, and for the better change your life. You must decide. You must decide that you can get good at anything. Now, the part on this that I want you to understand is it is a decision. Belief is a decision. People think that belief is based on the truth, but I'm going to say something and it's going to immediately ring as true because you probably heard it before. You're 5 times more likely to believe negative information than you are to believe positive information. Right? Have you guys heard that before? If I say something nice to you and then somebody comes along and says something negative to you, you're more likely to believe and internalize the negative thing. Because of that very fact, I have very little interest in what is objectively true. The human animal is really bad at understanding what is objectively true. So because of that, if you want to be successful, you're going to have to accept that your beliefs are decisions. You're deciding to believe that negative thing. You're deciding to discount positive things. That's a decision. So you can decide that you can get good at anything, or you can say, no, there are limits. Whichever you do, the famous Henry Ford quote, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are absolutely right. Let that one sink in because it'll change you once you really understand. All right, here are the methods to developing new skills. 1, always be reading. I am obsessed with the mathematical equation II equals IO. Ideas in equal ideas out. If you really want to get great, if you really want to gain mastery in something, you're going to have to encounter a lot of ideas. I do what I call reading in swarms. When I pick a topic that I want to get truly great at, I don't want to become a parrot to one person's ideology. I want to make sure that I have a breadth of knowledge in that. But make no mistake, one thing you're going to hear me talk about through this entire talk, and one of the most important things you could possibly understand if you want to dominate at whatever it is that you're going to do, you've got to become so good they can't ignore you. You've got to become so good that they can't ignore you. Now, here's the problem. People reach out to me all the time. Tom, I'm doing X, Y, Z, and I'm just not getting any traction. What's the truth of the matter? They're not good enough yet. They can, by definition, be ignored. Your job, whatever it is that you want to be the best parent, the best teacher, run a big business, change education. That's become very popular. Somebody's going to do it. It needs to be done, but it's going to be done by the person that really understands what it takes to do that and gets so effective at putting out the most capable students that people adopt their methodologies because they work. So you're going to have to get so good they can't ignore you. Open yourself to being changed. We've already talked about that. Be the eternal student. Ego gets in people's way. We're going to talk about how to build your ego in a minute because you need one, but most people build one that gets in their way. Be an eternal student and take immediate action. All right, there are 3 keys to eliminating destructive behavior. All of us have it. Every day, all I'm thinking about is how can I get better? I encourage my team, many of whom are here, I encourage my team to give me aggressive and negative feedback in as public a forum as humanly possible. Because I want to know. I want to know what my blind spots are. And my ego, while it is massive, is not built around being right. It is not built around being smart. I focus on this, and this is the most important thing you can do. Become anti-fragile. Nassim Taleb wrote a book by that name, and he said, something that is anti-fragile is not something that is strong. It is not something that is resilient. It is something that grows stronger the more that it's attacked. Things that are strong, things that are resilient, they are ultimately defined by their breaking point. Something that is anti-fragile doesn't have a breaking point because the more you come after it, the better it gets. Values and identity drive behavior. People often look at their behavior and they want to start there. They want to change their behavior by manhandling it, by doing something manual to, let's say, get up earlier. So they set an alarm to address a behavior. But then what happens? They hit the snooze alarm. And the reason they hit the snooze alarm is because they haven't addressed their identity. Addressing your identity and changing your identity is bizarrely simple. And this is how I do it. I'm the type of person that. I'm the type of person that gets out of bed in 10 minutes or less once I've realized that I'm awake. Now, why did I create that part of my identity? Because I used to lay in bed for up to 3 hours because it was too cold, okay? So think about this. When I was, not kidding, wish I were, because it's actually really embarrassing for me. When I was 22, and I'm, 15 years away from being very successful, I'm laying in bed for up to 3 hours simply because it's too cold to walk across the room to put a sweater on. And I didn't even think to put the sweater next to the bed. So I had to manipulate my identity. And now to be proud of who I am, I need to act in accordance with that part of my identity. This is all building towards being proud of who you are for something that moves you forward. Everyone needs to be proud of who they are. Embrace it. People your whole life, they've told you the ego's a problem. People have told you that pride is one of the 7 deadly sins. I'm here to tell you that's absolute BS. And the second you no longer believe that you could ever feel good about yourself again, you will become suicidal. Truth. I don't mean that like hyperbolically. I mean literally. The people that commit suicide are people who believe they can no longer ever feel good about themselves again. And if that were true, really think about it. If it were true, what would be the point? Think about those times that you feel your best. You're with somebody you love. You're with a significant other, and you see reflected in their eyes that they love you, that they're moved by you, that you make them feel better about themselves when they're with you than when they're not with you. What an awesome feeling. That is amazing. That's one of the greatest emotional states that this life has to offer. To help somebody else, to be of service. Why wouldn't you feel good about that? But it comes down to, what have you chosen to build that ego around? And my answer is, you want to build your self-esteem around not being right, not being smart, but rather being the learner and identifying the right answer faster than anybody else. Now, why is that anti-fragile? If you tell the average person who prides themselves on being smart that they're stupid, it hurts. And when you're right and they know that they're undereducated or they're ignorant to something, that's a real blow to their self-esteem. And it sets them back. And now they have to deal with the emotional pain. And we've seen people go through it all the time. We've all gone through it. We know what that looks like. We know what that feels like. It's a total time waste. It's a distraction. But you have to go through it to find a way to build yourself back up. And the way that people do it when they pride themselves on being smart is they put themselves in a smaller and smaller room where fewer and fewer people can challenge them. Whereas, if you build your self-esteem around being the learner, your next question when somebody tells you that you're stupid is simply, in what way? Because if you can remove this blind spot for me, I can now get more powerful. I can become more effective. I can help more people. I can build a bigger business. I can be a better parent. And so thank you. You've given me an insight that I didn't have. And now because you have tried to attack me, you've tried to damage my self-esteem, you've actually only further empowered me. This was the realization. This, more than anything, was the realization that changed my life and took... Thank you. Once I started doing that, once I filled myself with humility, once I allowed admitting that I was wrong to fill me with pride, once learning something new from an unexpected place not only filled me with pride but got me excited, then I was on a real path towards mastery. And remember, the only thing that matters is getting so good they can't ignore you. You need a belief system that's going to feed into that. The next one is you have to develop grit. Becoming the greatest of all time is very, very hard. The struggle is guaranteed, success is not. That's just the hard, cold truth. So you're going to have to find a way to persevere. Now, if you guys haven't read Angela Duckworth's book, Grit, I highly recommend it. It is absolutely brilliant. And what she talks about in that book is sustaining interest over time is the key. You have to be willing to do the hard things. No one ever got great at something on an easy road. It just doesn't happen. Look at the greatest of all time. Let's talk about Michael Jordan. He is literally the paragon of achievement. But who knows Tim Grover? Give it up for Tim. Now, if you know Tim Grover, you know that Michael Jordan, on the last day of his professional career, went to Tim Grover and said, and Tim was the guy that trained Michael Jordan, He went to Tim and said, if I ever see you in my neighborhood again, I'll shoot you. Because that's how grueling it was to work with Tim Grover. But that's what Michael Jordan knew he had to do in order to become the greatest of all time, to be remembered. If you want to be a legend, and look, I'm a filter. I am not the right person to take advice from for everybody. I am well aware of that. But if you want to play on a world stage, if you want to do things that people think are impossible, I'm your guy. Because it's possible for any one of you. And if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to do the hard things, if you're willing to persist, and this is the one, right here, number 3, look at that one. This is the one that kills entrepreneurs. Boredom and suffering. Boredom is the insidious thing that you don't see coming. It's the one that eats the most entrepreneurs. Of all the greatness that's in this room, all the latent potential, the one that's going to zap it is boredom. It's having to practice long after it stops being fun. It's having to do the thing that you're not yet good at, so you get no sense of joy or pride. And you have to switch it to being proud of the fact that you're putting in the work. You have to switch your ego to really being excited about the fact that you will clock the hours, that you will suffer more than most. To thank the followers of Impact Theory, the team and I did a 24-hour live. Thank you. The reason that we did that was we wanted the community to know that we were willing to suffer for them. We wanted to do something that was hard. We wanted to put ourselves through something that was difficult. I do 3-day fasts for the same reason. Can you embrace suffering? In suffering are many lessons. There are techniques. In fact, who knows the marshmallow experiment, the Stanford marshmallow experiment? All right, you guys are going to want to read about that one. What they found, they followed these kids for over 25 years. They put a kid in a room with a researcher, gave him a marshmallow and said, hey, I'm going to step out of the room for a second. If you wait to eat that marshmallow until I come back, I'll give you a second one. So double your money. Now, what the kid doesn't know is the researcher's never coming back. They just want to see how long the kid can wait to eat the marshmallow. And then they followed those kids for 25 years. And what they found were the kids that had techniques to postpone eating it the longest did the best in school, went to the best colleges, got the best grades, got the highest paying jobs, had more successful relationships because they could delay gratification. All right. You're going to have to learn number 4. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. You can drop it into Google. The difference between a lack of grit and genuine disinterest is something called WHOOP. Look that up. It's very good technique. You guys will want to learn. All right, number 3, develop a passion. Now, the word here that is absolutely critical, everybody talks about passion. I'm sure your parents and all of your teachers, they've all said one consistent message to you your entire life. Follow your passion. But nobody tells you how to find it. And then the worst news is people act like it's something to be found. Burn this into your nervous system. You do not find a passion. You are not an archaeologist. This is not about turning inward and uncovering something that is so magical that it's going to pull you through all the hard times, that it's going to tell you exactly what you should do with your life, that when everything is crashing down around you, it's going to be your passion that pulls you through, and it's somehow hidden within you right now. Hopefully, as you say it out loud, it sounds as ridiculous as it is. You would know about it. How could you hide something like that from yourself? The truth is, developing a passion is a process. You identify an area of interest. Those areas of interest come about through contact. You do stuff, and some of it seems interesting to you. You start gaining mastery in that, and you see if over time you really have deep interest that turns into a fascination. As you get better and better and push through boredom and the suffering, then it has an opportunity to develop into a real passion. It's what the ancient Greeks called techne. Ladling soup at a soup kitchen is awesome, and it's nice, but it's not anywhere near as fulfilling for you if you've had to work really hard for the skill set that you use to serve other people, and it's somehow unique to you. It is something that is very valuable to people, but not everybody can do it. That's where you want to find yourself. That's a passion. All right, your second job, build your business. Insert whatever it is in place of business, school, parent, self-improvement in general, whatever it is. I'm going to get very specific assuming that you have an entrepreneurial bent and that you want to actually build a business in today's market. Some of these things are going to apply at least at the conceptual level, but I hate talking purely ideological without giving people high action items. All right, number one, have very clear goals. That is absolutely fundamental. You're going to hear a lot of speakers talk about this, I hope, and you're going to hear them talk about it because it is true. Okay, there are only so many things that are true about building a mindset, about building a business that's actually going to be successful. And so the things that you hear people repeat over and over and over, chances are that those are the real things. And what you have to do is look beyond the trite words to why they have become trite. But having clear goals is one of them. And I mean ridiculously specific goals. Not, I want to make more money. I'm talking, what way do you want to make the money? What exact skills are you going to have to build and attain in order to accomplish that goal? All right, you're living in a new world. It is an amazing world. Who here thinks social media is a massive distraction and worries about what's happening to their kids? Who here thinks social media is the best thing since sliced bread? All right, we've got a mixed crowd. I will say here and now, first of all, technology is a one-way street. And the way that you build something new and incredible is not to fight the old, it's to focus all of your energy on building the new. So don't waste your time trying to stop social media. It's here to stay. So now the question becomes, what amazing things does social media do for us? Because I think it's changed the landscape in the world's most amazing way. It is unbelievable. If you are interested in serving other people, social media is your jam. If you're interested in learning from other people, social media is your jam. If you're looking to connect with people, social media is your jam. It allows you to truly have global interactions with people from all around the world and create meaningful relationships where it starts online, but hopefully, ultimately, you meet in real life. Where's Cage Hits? My man in the Batman shirt. All right, when we did our 24-hour live, we had this crazy guy that none of us had ever heard of named Cage Hits, and he watched all 24 hours. He stayed up the entire time, and we know because we hid Easter eggs during the event, and we said at the end of the event, we have this massive gift prize for anybody that can have found all 7 of the Easter eggs. And there was exactly one person that found it, and that was Cage. Now imagine how I reacted when I saw him in real life for the first time today. We built our relationship online. I'd never met him before 2 hours ago. But as soon as I saw him, it was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's this guy. Guys, this is Cage. It's him. So there was all this preamble that had gone on of interacting, looking at each other's content, seeing what's important to each other. And you get a chance to do that. So understand that that's the world that we live in. Millennials and Gen Z want to have impact. If you don't know what Gen Z is yet, it's about to dominate your life in the next 5 years. If you're in any way, shape, or form a marketer or a salesperson, impact is big. Now, most people don't know what they mean when they say that they want to have impact. But what they want is purpose. They want significance. They want to know that what they're doing has meaning. Now, the reason this is important to you as a business person beyond the marketing is you need to show people how supporting your company or using your product is going to help them do something that can make them feel good about themselves. Who knows Simon Sinek? All right. So right from him. Start with why. Find your mission. Even I fall prey to that because you don't find it, you develop it. Develop your mission. Figure out what it is that you want to put at the heart of your existence. What is that thing that you want to do? What is that thing that you're willing to dedicate the rest of your life to? My wife and I went through a moment of choice. When we left Quest, we literally could have bought an island and retired and sipped Mai Tais until the day that we died. And we said, do we want to do that? Or do we want to really engage with the world and put something at the core of our being and do everything in accordance with that? And our answer was, we want to free people from the matrix. Now, the reason that I want to do that is because it changed everything about my life. And I feel like I've had to learn every lesson the hard way. And to me, the matrix is that limiting set of beliefs. It's the things that you have unintentionally chosen to believe that limit your view of what you're capable of. For all the people who have not yet made the decision that they can do anything that they set their mind to, that have not yet decided they can get good at anything if they're willing to put in the work. That's my why. When you have that, then you know how to interact with your community because you can tell them exactly what it is you're trying to do. You can build an army around that idea. And I can't tell you how utterly fascinating it is, the way that this has changed the world. You want to connect with people. Don't worry about the technology. What people see is the technology. They see things that they don't understand on a technical level. But you know people. You guys wouldn't be here if you didn't know people. All the technology is a way to reach new people. That's it. But then the interaction becomes the same. Are there 1,000 waste of time interactions that you can have? Yes, just like in real life. And just like in real life, you find those people, you filter to get to the people that you really resonate with. The same is true of social media. All right, don't market, build a community. This is critical, and you have to understand what it's all about. When we were building Quest, we had to make a decision. What are we? Are we the bar that you give to somebody who has six-pack abs and say, congratulations, man, you did it? Or were we the catalyst for change? And what did we want to show the community? And what we started doing was what we called mirror marketing. We just wanted to show the user themselves back, show the transformations they were going through, show what they had been able to accomplish, celebrate them, let the community celebrate them, and create this really uplifting community. And that's how we grew by 57,000%. That was it. Being something uplifting, knowing that this was about a community, never losing sight of the fact that on the other side of these devices, on the other side of your Instagram account, they're real people. And that we all understand. And empowering people, lifting them up, giving them a chance to celebrate, and quite frankly, pushing them and holding them to a standard. If you're in the impact theory army, I know one thing about you. Nice. You're not afraid of hard work. That's a guarantee. So build that community that has an ethos, and it goes like this. Thought leaders are at the top. Thought leaders are usually the people that nobody understands. They're the researchers, the people writing most of the time, the abstracts. Influencers are the ones that can actually digest that information and bring it out in a way that people can relate to, and then the masses ultimately are who you're selling to. What you're looking for are 1,000 screaming fans. People who are absolutely rabid about the product that you have. It has changed their life, and they want to tell anyone and everyone about it. Now, when most people think of getting to the influencers that can help them find those 1,000 screaming fans, they think of famous people. But really, you guys should be thinking of people like this. In today's world, this is the cast of a musical. I forget which one, but between them, they have hundreds of thousands of followers. And they're very easy to build a relationship with. In social media right now today, it is very easy to find people who are undervalued. I just found one yesterday. I was so over the moon. He's become my obsession to tell people about. It's a guy named Dr. Peter Attia, an absolutely unbelievable human being who knows more about nutrition and human metabolism than virtually anybody alive on the planet. And he's got 2,300 followers on Instagram. So one of the brightest minds in the world has said, I want you to like my photo, which means you can get his attention. That's the power of social. So finding people, this is Jenna Marbles, somebody that we worked with at Quest. She reaches over 20 million people a day, and the way that we did something with her was not to pay her money. She's obsessed with her little dogs, and we sewed little doggy outfits for them and sent her a whole bunch of product. She was so moved by the fact that we sent her dogs clothes that she took pictures of them and all the product that we sent, and we got 20 million people seeing our product for no money or for the cost of dog sweaters. All right, how to generate social momentum. You've got to identify the influencers. You need to add value to their community. Adding value is absolutely critical. You need to figure out what's meaningful to them. Is it likes? Is it shares? And I'll just tell you right now, if it's me, take that selfie, homie. I want a selfie with some big smiles. Tag me and post it, right? I'm trying to build an audience. And I can get into why when I do my endless Q&A, which, by the way, I always make a promise to anybody that watches one of my talks. At the end of the talk, I will stay and answer questions until every single question has been answered. I've stayed until 3:30 in the morning before. I will stand in the parking lot. I will do whatever it takes. I will answer every single question you have. I accept hugs like a madman, so you just can't even imagine. Go above and beyond for people. Really show. When Cage watched all 24 hours, the whole team was freaking out because we thought it was going to be some lonely hours at like 3 a.m., and there was Cage rocking it out. Turn relationships into partnerships. At the end of the day, hopefully your business is meaningful. Hopefully it's doing something positive for the world, so it's not exactly a bad thing to turn it into a real business model and then publish. Create content like a fiend. All right, take a screenshot of this one because we're running out of time. I'll just harp on this one. You want to put out amazing, impactful content consistently. Again, get so good they can't ignore you. If you haven't built a following, the truth is, and remember you're anti-fragile now, the truth is your content isn't good enough. So get better. Focus all of your energy on getting better. All right, make sure that your content in and of itself is valuable. I put out almost 7 hours of content every week, and we're looking to almost double it. See if anybody on the team has a heart attack. No, they look good. And we're going to, in doing that, all we're thinking about is adding value in that piece of content, that you would want to watch that piece of content regardless. They don't think of it as marketing. They think of it as just something that they wanted in their lives. All right, I'll leave you with this. Remember, it does not matter who you are today. It doesn't matter if you're the kid that's laying in bed and spends 3 hours there because you're too lazy to cross and grab a sweatshirt. It only matters who you want to become and the price you're willing to pay to get there. If you pay that price, you can have anything you want in life. Thank you.